everybody, lovely to have you with me. It's Carol here at Oak House Journals, and as you can see I've got my paperwork in front of me for Margarete Miller's assignment for week 36. I've got Margarete's prompts here, my prompt choices behind, and my working background. But just very quickly before I go into what I've chosen for the prompts and before I actually make a start on creating this, I'm just going to mention that at the start of the year when I decided to do this challenge, I didn't know how far I would get because we're moving house this year. Up until now, it's been absolutely fine doing a challenge piece or assignment every week. But going forward, I'm not sure how many I'm going to get completed. What I plan to do though, however, is to do as many of these as I can over the next couple of weeks and pre-record them and release them as usual once a week on a Monday. But there's no guarantee I'm going to get all of the assignments done before things take over on the house front. So I just thought I would mention that so you know what's what in case I become a little bit hit and miss, but I will do my very best to get through all the assignment pieces that we have left this year. More importantly, let's get on with this one. So assignment 36, a photo or illustration of a garden is the first prompt. I've got this illustration, it's out of a vintage book, lovely image of a garden or some flower beds in a garden. So I'm going to be using that. A monochrome design is prompt number 2. Well, I'm going with this as my monochrome design. As you can see, it's a country cottage with a garden in front, and I'm working on the premise that this is a garden design, so I'm using that. An image of a ladder or stairs. Well, I'm going with this clip art image of an A-frame ladder. A clipping with numbers. We've got this vintage replica ration book. I've got lots of different size pieces I can use in here, and I could use these bigger ones or I could use these down here. This page is a slightly different colour, so I've got lots of options there. So I've got that. Penultimate one, a piece of decorative paper with a floral pattern. I've got this to use, not sure which way round it should go, probably that way round, so I've got that one to use. And the bonus prompt, an image of glass. Well, I've gone for this replica vintage garden cloche, and obviously these are panes of glass in the cloche, so I'm hoping that that hits the prompt. As always, prompts ahead of me so I can see what I'm doing. This is my working background with my border drawn round, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the cloche out. I'm going to fussy cut this, probably trim these down. What I thought I could do is get rid of that word contents there, maybe have something like that, and see if I can get away with staggering this on my page. Now these both pieces are a lot wider than my working page, but I think with a bit of trimming and jiggery pokery I can make these work. I'm going to trim off a portion down there, and I think I'll probably leave my border on here, and similarly on this one, but they do need tidying up a bit. This one I'm certainly going to trim down, thinking it might be nice to stagger this piece. But first things first, I'm going to do the fussy cutting and then I'll come back to this. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I've got my A-frame ladder fussy cut, I've got my garden cloche, I've trimmed round the outside of this image. I'm just going to move that to one side, and I've trimmed round the outside of this one, and as you can see I've trimmed off that left-hand edge. So I'm just going to pop that against my working guideline on the left-hand side. I'm going to pull this one in and I'm going to try and hide that word contents there, and as you can see it definitely goes all the way off my page, so I'm going to need to trim this one down, but I don't want to do that yet until I get an idea of how much on this side to trim off. The reason I'm trimming off this side is I don't want that splash of orange there. I want something a little bit more subtle because I've got shades of pink in this, quite a blank area there, so I'm wondering whether my label can go there, but I'd like to stagger this floral element. So maybe if I bring that down, something like that, and again, maybe line it up to my working edge. There's some deepy pink purple there, and that's why I like these along the bottom, because they're picking up that colour tone as well. I'm going to leave the white border on this because I think that might be too much going into this little floral element there. Just wondering if I can pull that down a little bit more, maybe take it in like that. Seems a shame to lose that pink there, so I could stagger it a little bit there. No, I'm going to pull it right out so both this one and this one hit the left-hand working border. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark this off here, again because it's coming down that right-hand working border. This is lining up with these up here, but I may well decide I want to stagger this top portion. So let's have a look at these. I need something to ground the ladder, so I could have it grounded down there, or I could pull that up and ground it on this picture. Pull this in and just tuck it under the ladder a little bit, which breaks up this bottom corner, so I could have something like that. And that would be hidden, so I've got a scrap of paper here, so I would have something like that occurring. I'm thinking using this area up here for my label. Still not quite happy with that. Maybe something like that is going to be better. Yeah, I think that works better. Okay, before I carry on with that, what I am going to do is I'm going to commit to trimming this down. Yeah, I think that's looking better, so I'm going to trim this one up here. It gives me a trimmed edge on both sides, which I think looks better and balances out better. And I am going to reduce a little bit of this border at the top and pull it over. That's better. Brings this into play, which I think adds more interest. So yes, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to try trimming it about there. Have that like that, that like that. Yeah, that feels a lot better. And that can go on there. I think I had it like that. And then this in here. Yeah, that's working a lot better. This feels a little bit tall, so I am going to trim off that border at the top. Right, let's have a look at these. This is a lighter brown, and it complements that and that. Let's see what else we got. I think that's a bit too yellowy, but equally it works with that. I'm going to cut this one out. Just looking at this with this label, it's coming across into my garden image too much, so I would trim it down roughly about there, take away probably about 6-7 millimeters off there. I'm also going to take away that line down there and potentially reduce some of the depth, so let me trim that off. I'm actually liking that there because it's picking up those browns. I'm now looking at this white border down there and wondering if that could be taken away. I've already cut this side. I'm going to risk it and cut that. And I'm also going to cut it across the top as well to get rid of the border there. I'm liking how I've managed to get this ladder on this background piece here. And it's not particularly grounded on this floral element, but I think it's grounded enough, so I'm just going to put some glue behind that. And similarly with this, feel that sits better in behind there like that. I like the positioning of all these pieces, so I've put more glue behind. As you can see, I've left a few little raised edges. I just need to fiddle with this one a little bit more to see where I want it placed. Whether I want it like that, and I think it's a shame to cover up the garden, so I think I might just kind of drop it down. I can't drop it down too much. and I'm liking where that is placed on there. So I'm going to put some glue behind the back of this just to hold that piece in place. Okay, so I'm going to put a lot more glue behind this. There we go, everybody. That's my finished piece for this week. And actually, just glancing at it now, I wish that I'd gone for a bigger ladder and just really kind of made it come off the page. Maybe even taken it up in there, but I didn't. But I can live with that. I like how I've got a little bit of movement there and also down here under these flowers. I like my broken edge down there. Yeah, I think it works on the whole. Maybe should have been braver and had that over the top, but I wasn't. But I think it works. I'm liking the pink tones here working together in this area and kind of blending into here. I'm liking these yellowy or light green and brown blending into that and picking it up there and also down here. Okay, so let's quickly go through the prompts. A photo or illustration of a garden. Well, I went with this piece here. A monochrome design. Well, that was my garden design. An image of a ladder or stairs. Well, I went with the A-frame ladder. A clipping with numbers. Well, that's down there. A piece of decorative floral paper. That's that tiny little piece there. And bonus, an image of glass. Well, I went with glass cloche down here, or reproduction cloche down there. So thank you everybody for watching, and as I say, I'll be working hard trying to get the next ones done in good time so that I'm regularly posting on a Monday. But as I said earlier on, if I can't manage to do that, please forgive me. I'll certainly do my best to try and finish off this challenge this year. Until the next video, everybody, take care. Bye bye now.